how I dropped 20 pounds in less than 16 weeks, even as a busy vegan. Let's dive in. What I want to share with you today is my exact system that I've used to drop 20 plus pounds sustainably and permanently without going backwards. And in the world of weight loss, there's a lot of fads, there's a lot of gimmicks, there's a lot of shiny objects that are very easy to fall into. And I know one of the biggest things that I learned in my journey was that the idea of fast weight loss or the fast fat loss was something that never was sustainable for me. In fact, I always regained the pounds, I always regained the body fat months or years later. And so what's really transformed my life is having this simple system that I'll share with you in just a second that's changed my body, changed my health, it's changed my relationship with my fitness and my well-being. So let's dive into that system and how you can use this in less than 90 minutes per week. So the first part here is you're gonna wanna start off and create a strategic caloric deficit. And every successful diet in the history of diets has used this principle, which is using a caloric deficit. But I'm really emphasizing here, using a strategic one, because I think now in our modern world, because knowledge is becoming so abundant, because now many of us are now familiar with what a caloric deficit might be, with how to implement it, with how to cut calories, there's often a little bit of nuance to this that gets missed in our rush to just cut calories, to just drop weight. And so a strategic caloric deficit is a deficit that incorporates where you've been the past 6 months, where you're at right now, and where you want to go going into the next 6 months. So let me give you an example of what I mean by this. By the time many new clients reach us, a lot of them have been under eating for quite a few months. And if you've been under eating for months or even years on end, then going into a new caloric deficit or dropping calories even further may not be the most intelligent thing to do. So instead of that, we may need to actually reverse diet with that individual. We may need to do a quick metabolic reset with that person and bring them back up to maintenance calories temporarily, just to reset their metabolism, their hormones, their blood markers, all that fun jazz. Get them back up to maintenance for about a month, month and a half. And then once they're reset, then we can set out a strategic caloric deficit. And again, that's not everybody, but a lot of the people that we work with, that does tend to be the case, right? That does tend to be the case where they come in and they've been under eating. And if you've been under eating, you've already dropped your metabolic speed. Your metabolism has already adapted to those lower calories. And again, the body always adapts to everything, right? Whatever it is. It doesn't matter what exercise protocol, it doesn't matter what nutrition protocol. If you do it long enough, eventually your body's gonna adapt to it. And that's so important to understand, because metabolic adaptation, not one of the steps here, but just an important topic here. Metabolic adaptation is how our body functions. So when you're aware that eventually what you're doing is eventually not going to work, then having a more strategic approach to things, especially with your exercise and nutrition, it makes a lot more sense. And this doesn't mean, by the way, for those of you who are thinking like, okay, wait, so is Gabriel saying switch things up every week? Is he talking about muscle confusion? We're not talking about muscle confusion. Not a valid scientific principle, but I am talking about shaking things up, possibly every 12 weeks or so. And not primarily through nutrition, because you may be able to go with a caloric deficit for even up to 6 to 8 months at the same numbers. But years on end, you're probably gonna hit a plateau. Even more than 6 months, you're probably gonna hit a plateau. So again, number one, create a strategic caloric deficit. Number two here is use intelligent strength training 3 to 4 times a week. And again, I'm highlighting the intelligent part here because anybody can walk in the gym and just lift weights and just say like, hey, I'm strength training, right? And the reality is lifting weights in general is phenomenal. Lifting weights in general, it doesn't matter if it's a light weights, medium weights, heavy weights, if it's, upside down weights, lifting weights in general is great, right? It's great for your health, it's great for your body, and it's gonna give you a lot of positive benefits. However, intelligent strength training, 3 to 4 times a week, means training within about 70 to 90% of your intensity, of your max intensity, right? It basically means leaving about 1 to 3 reps left in your tank every single time you work out. And typically when you start a training cycle, when you start a workout cycle, you're gonna wanna start out a little bit lighter, right? A little bit less intensity because it's a new training cycle. So typically how we have, how we work with our clients, right? We'll have them start off with, maybe 3, maybe 4 reps in reserve. Reps in reserve basically means the amount of reps that you have left in your tank, right? So if let's say you're doing a dumbbell squat, right? You have 25 pounds, right? Your exercise prescription for that exercise is 8 to 12 reps. And let's say you do 11 reps on your first set, 25. You're squatting it out. You do your first set, 11 reps with 25 pounds, and you feel it out. And you're like, yeah, I probably could have done maybe 3, 4 more reps. That's great, right? That means you're starting, and that's your first week of the training cycle. Starting that first week of the training cycle, you're right on track. However, let's say you get deeper in the training cycle. You want to leave less reps in your tank because now you're getting deep into the training cycle. So you want to keep increasing the stimulus that your body's receiving from the exercise. And so when you do that over time, your body will adapt to it. So again, it isn't the 0 to 100 approach, which is basically annihilating yourself every time you work out. We're not aiming for annihilation with exercise. We're aiming for invigoration, right? And invigoration means going in for your workout, getting the right stimulus, and then walking out, recovering from the metabolic damage or the muscular damage that you may have done. And then when you recover, you get good sleep, you get good nutrition, all the good stuff happens. You're able to rebuild muscle, you're able to release body fat, and you can move into the next workout and the next exercise bout, and ideally be renewed, be refreshed. And so 3 to 4 times a week is really the sweet spot. Again, I would say 3 times a week is more of kind of like if you're doing a total body, whole body workout. 4 times a week is a great area. I personally really love 4 times a week, not just for myself, but for hundreds of clients that we work with and we support, because it allows you to target 2 lower days and 2 upper days. But again, if you can't do 4 times a week, 3 times a week is a really, really solid bare minimum to start with. And again, it will give you enough stimulus to really get the gears moving, so to speak, with regards to your exercise, and obviously your body composition changes. So that's number 2. Number 3 here is getting about 6 to 10,000 steps per day. And this is a 2-part tactic right here. So get 6 to 10,000 steps per day, but then also aim for about half to 2/3 of your body weight in ounces of water per day as well. So let me talk about the first one. So 6 to 10,000 steps per day. The reason why I mention this as more of a range is because there is no perfect step amount that you need to get every day in order to drop body fat. And let's take a step back real quick and let's talk about, why are steps even valid? Like, why are they even an important talking point for fat loss or for weight loss? The reality is, when you're in a caloric deficit, your metabolism will start to slow down, right? And the longer you're in a caloric deficit, the slower your metabolism will get. And so your body, just as a natural kind of like survival instinct, will try to slow things down, including your movement, including your activity levels, obviously metabolism. It's going to want to slow everything down. So to counteract that, we want to stay moving, right? We want to stay active, because it's very easy to, be like the average desk office worker who only maybe walks, 2,000 to 4,000 steps per day. And then you might be working out, you're lifting the weights, you're in the caloric deficit, you're hitting your macros, your calories, doing all that, but you're only getting 3,000 steps per day. The rate of fat loss progress will inevitably be much slower than somebody who is getting maybe 7, 8, 9, 10,000 plus steps per day, because they're keeping their metabolism a little bit more ramped up. They're giving their body a reminder, like, hey, like we're in motion, and an object in motion tends to stay in motion, right? According to physics. So really with the steps here, we're looking at a way to just keep your metabolism a little bit higher than the average sedentary person. With regards to water, now, when it comes to fat loss, right? 80% of your muscle is water. 60% plus of your body is water. And it's very, very easy to confuse hunger for dehydration. The reality is, many of us are walking around dehydrated 24/7. And so when you get at least half to 2/3 of your body weight in ounces of water, number one, you're solving your hunger problem, not confusing your hunger for dehydration. Number two, you're making sure that you're staying hydrated, especially during a fat loss phase. If you're lifting weights, you're training hard in the gym or at home, getting enough water, getting enough hydration is a key part to, number one, ensuring you have a good workout. And number two, making sure that you aren't dropping muscle and strength in the process. So that's number three. So let me do a quick little recap, and then I'm gonna go to a bonus fourth one, a bonus fourth step that I've seen work really well for a lot of people in general. So number one, you want to create a strategic caloric deficit. Number two, you want to have an intelligent strength training plan, ideally 3 to 4 times a week. And then number three, aim for about 6 to 10,000 steps per day, and then about half to 2/3 of your body weight in ounces of water per day. The bonus fourth one here is get 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. And I know what you might be already thinking. Gabriel, I'm only getting 6 hours of sleep per night. I'm only getting 5 hours of sleep per night. And because I hear this so often every single week with so many different people, I understand that and I get that. And being a busy father myself, our little one now is just turning 1 in just a few days. And I understand. I've probably been sleeping anywhere between, 5 to 8 hours per night over the past year. So it's not been perfect on my end. So I just want to be fully transparent about that. However, there is a system that I found that really can help you, even if you're struggling with time or falling asleep or just overthinking in general. What I found really helps here is just scaling this slowly, right? So scaling this slowly. So instead of aiming, if you're at 5 hours of sleep per night, aim to get to 5.5 hours, right? Keep that sustainable, keep that consistent. And then once you have that down pat for 2 to 3 weeks, then aim to get about 6 hours of sleep. Again, it's not perfect, right? It's not ideal. But the other thing that I would do with that is also to prime your sleep evening routine, your bedtime routine, because most of us have really crappy sleep hygiene habits. And so when you optimize your bedtime routine, when you optimize the habits that you do in order before you go to sleep, you can really create a positive impact. And one of the big things that I would do is just remove as many electronics at least an hour before bed. Blue light in general does seem to inhibit melatonin release, which if you're inhibiting melatonin release, it's gonna have a negative impact on your sleep. So definitely reducing blue light exposure during the evening can have a big positive impact. And number two, having some sort of relaxation practice, whether it's a 2-minute breathing practice, whether it's potentially maybe even just sitting down and meditating, or maybe doing a 1-minute or 2-minute yoga practice, anything to relax the mind and body. Because most of us, again, what we carry in the day, what isn't processed in the day, processed through the day, like thoughts, emotions, things like that, gets carried into the night. And I think that's one of the biggest issues that most of us, we were just never taught these skill sets of relaxation, internal cultivation, let alone the other skill sets when it comes to, muscle building and strength building and body fat loss. Definitely a lot of topics they didn't teach us in school. A lot of things that I think definitely were left out, and I think probably left out on purpose, but that's another topic for another day. Anyway, here, as a quick recap, make sure you create a strategic caloric deficit, use intelligent strength training with 3 to 4 times a week, get 6 to 10,000 steps per day, and half to 2/3 of your body weight in ounces of water per day. And then the fourth one right here is aim to get 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. If you found this helpful, like this video, subscribe for more tips like this if you found this helpful for plant-based nutrition and high performance fitness, and I'll see you in the next video. Talk to you soon.